You and I talked about this episode briefly while we were
Yes.
watching it, but
Yes.
I had to stop like in the middle of watching because I completely forgot. I apologize to James and Stall out there. I forgot that I was supposed to be on his radio show Sunday night and had to immediately put that on pause and get myself ready for that, where we discuss Stranger Things. But I did get it. I did finally get a chance to watch it yesterday. I thought it was a very good finale. Obviously, there's still. I mean, we're going to pick it apart because there's always flaws in everything. Even the very good, there's still flaws. But overall, I was very, very pleased with the series.
I agree. The final episode threw me off for a minute because it felt tonally different a little bit, but like it felt more cinematic, if that's the right term,
Sure.
versus the rest. Like I felt like I had been watching 7 episodes of a show and
Mhm.
then a movie, which isn't a bad thing, but it caught me off guard
Sure.
to start. But overall, as we've said for every show we've started this year, I think dating back to last year, can the show stick the landing? And like you said, while it does have its flaws, I would put this show as a whole and this finale into the category of it sticks the landing.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because again, thankfully, they knew where they were going.
Yes.
And I very much appreciated that they didn't have to tie it into the movie, but they did, which kind of like, I think when all of this is said and done, if they get what they want out of this with the 3 seasons going back to 1908, 1935, this one, and then chapter 1 and 2, they've made a huge, fantastic body of work.
Yes.
Like that you can like sit and kind of like Game of Thrones binge from the beginning to the end. If you're like, you know what, I just kind of want to watch some, like turn this on during Halloween and have a good time with it and watch it. I think it's great. I think even though they did have horror, obviously in this movie it deals with one of the, I mean, like the best horror villains that we have around with Pennywise
Yeah.
and Bill Skarsgård. I mean, like, I mean, not enough can be said for him. His physicality, his vocal command,
Yeah.
his just acting. There were parts where like I was laughing at his portrayal, but like in the same sense, like being like, this would be horrifying to witness when I mean, we can cut through like real quick. Like, I don't know how much time we want to spend on like the entire recap, but we have the uh Will Will being taken by
Yes.
Pennywise. Pennywise goes to the school, takes the rest of the children because again he had been freed by General Shaw with this pillar, the basically unlatching the cage door. The girls are cleaning up, see this fog roll in. They go to the school, see the principal dead, see all these flyers with all the kids' names on them. Decide to take off after him in this milk truck, which Margie is driving. They crash. They have an issue with the dagger, which I think that was the one thing I was like, listen, all due respect to this child actor. But I mean, shout out to her for being so good that I hated her.
Yes. Yeah. She was getting on my nerves. She reminded me towards the end of The Lord of the Rings with Frodo.
Yes.
Obviously, you can blame the ring, you can blame the shard, but it gets to a point where I'm just like, oof, I really don't like you.
Yeah, like somebody needed to punch her and just knock her
Yes.
out and be like, we're gonna leave you here and if we're gonna go take care of business. It was very yes, she turned very Gollum, like my precious with the I think like everybody was making that joke. But then in the meantime, uh, Leroy is taunted by Pennywise on the phone. He realizes Will's been taken by him. His line of dark meat tastes even sweeter was
I died.
hilarious. Like it was like, damn, Pennywise
Just
went
adds
there,
back the seasoning comments we've been making with him shedding into the water.
right? Which again, I also appreciated that this, whereas not marketed as an African American show series, it was seamlessly without I don't want to be like, not without making a big deal about it. I'm not saying that things shouldn't be made a big deal, but it was wonderfully just a good series that happened to have main characters as African Americans, and no, like it wasn't a big, it was still a, this wasn't like a Medea only made for a certain
100%.
certain community.
100%.
Everybody got to enjoy it and see, and no one, like I said, I hate to say like no one cared, because I'm sure I'm
Yeah.
looking at it differently than you would look at it. You'd be like, this is kind of important to our
Right.
community, because like it's a time where we were just normalized in something that's very, again, it has been around since 1990. Like this
Right.
is just kind of part of culture and horror culture. And it was just wonderfully just nice and normalized. And
Yeah, no, they did a fabulous job. Like trying to figure out how to say it, but like making it a part of the story, but not making it the entire story. Like it was, this is happening within the world of it
right,
versus in the world of it, this is happening type of thing.
sure. Like it was wonderfully taking a snapshot of a family who just happened to be African American, because we know that Will goes on to have Mike, who is then later responsible for, the death of Pennywise, or like he says, or is it my birth? But we'll get into that. But anyways, everybody basically converges on this lake, headed for this tree, because if Pennywise can make it to this tree, then he's out, he's free. In the meantime, they have snatched Dick from killing himself.
Yeah.
And which is a great scene, and in his bunker, and taking him, giving him Maturin root. I wondered if you had caught that word. The Maturin, the root she gives him, the tea.
Yes.
It's the turtle. Maturin is the turtle.
Yes. When they said that, I made a mental note. Like, okay, so the turtle's coming back around and the turtle is offering protection.
Right. Protection. Yeah.
From
So
the dead
they all
bodies.
converge there along with the military, because they don't know how to not get in their own way.
You would have thought after the fog took over the town, they'd be like, oh, maybe we've gone a step too far.
But again, he was wanting this unleashed. Again, the reason that Pennywise froze after he snatched Margie and taunted her with her, like what we all believed, what we were all kind of hoping, was that Margie was going to be revealed to be Richie Tozer's mother, who is in the 1989, 1996, or the 2016, I forgot
Yeah.
the year, how they do it. But basically, the Finn Wolfhard,
Mm-hmm.
yes, his mother shows a picture. It's a great shout out. It's like, oh, that's they did it wonderfully. I know those things were like, yeah, I know they're fan service, but sometimes when fan service is done right and done well, that's what you want. I mean, you do want to be applauded for knowing who some of the
Right.
people are in the future, right? I mean, that's the purpose. And if you don't, then you turn on and watch it. So the reason he freezes is because Dick is inside of his head. He's taunted with his past memories. Again, the military, when yanking Dick out of the van, bus, car, whatever, they snap that. Everybody is going for, the kids have got the spear after Leroy and Daniel are shot and wounded.
Mm.
Leroy is given the spear to Will. The kids take off with it. Pennywise is after it, because after he eats General Shaw's face.
After General Shaw thought he could command the otherworldly demon. Like
yes,
the hubris of this man.
He's like, when he's mad because they're not taking him seriously in his past memories, like in where the one where Dick is kind of taunting, he's like, I'm the eater of worlds. He's just offended as being a man. Yeah, I know I'm like jumbling all over this. Basically, they're all headed toward this tree. We get another shot of Richie, which he wonderfully, if you listen to the podcast, the HBO official podcast, he got to improvise, giving the finger.
Really?
Yes, to Pennywise.
Oh, that's so great.
I highly recommend everybody going back and listening to especially the last episode of Welcome to Derry HBO podcast. They do interviews with the kids, and the one girl who plays Marge, I believe her name is Matilda something. She's
Lauer.
so amazingly mature and just her interview is amazing. I can't say enough about it.
I knew she was a great actor because she's in the Santa Clauses, the little Disney Plus show that came out a couple years ago, and she's one of the elves in it.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like there's all these different kid actors, and then there's her. And I'm just like, she was putting these other kids to shame in a Disney Plus TV show. So that, and then she got cast in this. I'm like, yeah, she is
she's so good.
phenomenal.
But yeah, anybody should go and just listen to that. It's great stuff. And then plus they do an interview with Bill Skarsgård at the end too.
Nice.
Um, he helps the kids shove the spear into the ground, which basically cages Pennywise again after he turns into almost kind of a pterodactyl to attack the kids.
Yeah, turn back to the demon baby.
Um, yeah, it gets a lot. We end with them at Richie's funeral. Um, Dick, after being given, again, this is kind of fleshy, but Rose explained to him that you're not gonna like not all spirits are bad. Some you need to welcome in and let them help you. They're not everything is bad out here to attack you, which he does see the chief, the indigenous chief, and she kind of brings out Richie, which Richie, she's bringing him out to help because he's the one like the extra key that the kids need to
Yeah.
do their conquest. He sees that. He sees Richie at the funeral touching his father. He lets his father know it's in that hand you feel on your shoulder. That's him. He's always going to be there, kind of nicely settled at. Although I will say this, when he does talk to Leroy later about like, I'm going to work for a hotel, I know we're all supposed to believe that it's the Outlook, but he talks about going to London in the Outlook.
London.
Yeah, so he's not, so maybe it's the beginning of his hotel career.
I thought we talked about how doing the fan service right. I thought the Richie one was well done. I thought the how much trouble can a hotel be? And then just letting that hang in the air for a beat too long, I was like, all right, we get it. That was the one where I was like, you could have just said I'm going to work for a hotel, and that would have been fine. But how hard can a hotel be, or how much trouble can a hotel
Yeah.
give me? You could have cut that line out.
Right, because again, you're in London, you're not at the Overlook,
Yeah.
which I believe like supposed to be in Colorado or something to that effect. Um, but if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. If anybody does on social media, feel free. I believe like everything I've seen, I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's the right hotel, but I get it. It's supposed to be like we all know where Dick's eventually going to end up. Then we have the final, what the kids all kind of like start going their different directions. Margie really never makes a big deal about staying in Derry, as much as they're going to leave and then decide to stay. Rose says, I'm giving you the farm. It's now your turn to kind of manage this stuff. Will and Ronnie have their first kiss. Ronnie and her dad take off, which I understand, not story wise, but in the book, in the actual book, my book behind me right there, Veronica Grogan is one of the children that actually is ended up killed and dies in like 1958. So I understand like them kind of like, well, she wasn't even factored in here, so we got to kind of make that family move along. Yeah, like I said, Will and his family decide to stay. Not really much. Lily just says, "I'm glad I got some friends," which she needs to work on that, work
Yeah.
on herself a little bit. We see Mrs. Kirsch being put into Juniper Hill, where she's played music to calm her down because she's clearly insane. But then fast forward to the extra credit scene where we see the old Mrs. Kirsch that Beverly will run into in the 2016-2017 movie after Beverly Marsh's mother hangs herself at the insane asylum, and we get the actress came back, which I thought really good on her to come back and just have the one scene at
The
the
one
end,
dialogue.
right, where Mrs. Kurtz gives her line of, no one ever really dies.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. Nobody ever really dies in Derry, at least not, for good. So, let's start with the things that you weren't a fan of.
Charlotte. Charlotte Hanlon. That's where I need to start. And I went on this long Twitter rant yesterday, still up for people that want to read it. I rooted for her character so hard. At the beginning, as we talked about being this family of color in this town and dealing with the racism and her as soon as her feet hit the ground, wanted to be an activist. Okay, awesome. But for how much she seemingly cared about her family, she was constantly putting her family in danger, putting her Hank Grogan side quest over her family's safety, while simultaneously blaming her husband for putting the family in danger. I couldn't get over it. Like they get there, she goes on this side quest to help Hank Grogan, which immediately puts a target on her family's back from the racist mob in the town. But you are
Because she
blaming,
left her child there.
yes. So she goes and she helps Hank Grogan, but then she gets mad at Leroy, even though he is being traumatized because he's being jumped by his whole chain of command the first
Mhm.
night there to see if he really have no fear. Um, she gets mad at him for that. Then she gets, as I've said previously, she goes. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna pull up my tweet because I'm all over the place because it gets me really mad whenever I start thinking about it. Again, I loved her character, but there was just, hold on, it's just terrible look for the pod. Okay. All right, here we go. She was an activist who put a target on her family's back, but got mad at her husband when he asked her to tone it down and not rock the boat. She was mad at him while he was being played by the military and being put on missions that involved dealing with an essentially otherworldly entity that he had no knowledge of. After the kids go into the sewers where they shouldn't have been, and Leroy ends up killing his best friend, as I've said on the last episode, Charlotte not wanting to criticize her son when Leroy told Will, "Hey, I don't want you hanging out with those kids. Like, I want you to be here," which I think any rational parent would do since those kids had you in a sewer. Will throws it in his face. He's like, "I don't kill my friends," and Leroy slapped him in the face. And I'm not endorsing slapping your kids, but that was foul.
It's
And-
the Chris Rock. I'm not saying it's right,
right, but I
but I
get it.
understand.
Charlotte should have said something to her son. Instead, she went after her husband and gave him no support there. She then said, "I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving," basically demanding that he come with them, which again, I said, as a black man in the military who has had to fight for his rank, he can't just go AWOL. So she says she's leaving, but instead of leaving, she goes on the side quest, leaves her child at a bar essentially overnight where the kid almost dies in a racist mob massacre that was kind of spearheaded by you trying to help him escape. She took zero heat for that. Then you take him back to the house where he gets kidnapped, and you are now hitting your husband in the chest and saying you said you were going to keep him safe and slapping your husband. You said you were leaving town. Leroy found out that he was being played by the military, pulled a gun on his superior officer, was ready to die about it right there, but got outnumbered. So then he had to go back on base and all of that. And again, still no sympathy from Charlotte. She then is blaming him for being kidnapped. And then at the end of all of that, when they're finally ready to leave Derry, which is what she's been wanting to do since the moment they got there, she is the one that said, "You know what? We should stay." Like, I wanted to root for her character so badly, and I loved how of a mama bear they wrote her character to be. But the way that they told you she was versus the things that she actually did throughout the season, that was, didn't like it. And that was kind of a whole season thing. So me getting back on track, as far as the episode was concerned, but I didn't like was there was a couple unfinished storylines. Did everyone forget that they were like, how does the town go back to normal when the entire town, the kids, were just kidnapped halfway across the river? Do you guys believe Hank Grogan now? Like, how is he able to just like hop in the car and leave now? Because man is still a fugitive. Principal died, so I think there was like a lack of resolution
Sure.
at the end of that season. And I don't need all storylines tied off, but that's kind of a big one
Right.
that was kind
Especially
of
if
just
they
like,
don't ever. like I would have to go back and watch it chapter one. Like, do they ever mention like the high
Hey,
school?
remember that time the entire population of kids, the fog rolled in and all the kids disappeared and like
Right. Like maybe, like even if they have like maybe a news clipping of something going,
yeah,
but unless a majority of those children and their families left Derry and then they have forgotten, I mean, which
maybe
is
that
always
could be.
possible. Um, which again, yeah, like I said, it is possible because that's how people forget. And that town, I will say this, in the book, the town is always kind of very like, well, we know what's going to kind of happen, and then we just kind of go about our business. Like but I mean, like that's kind of the way the town is written is that like it's been so infected by Pennywise over the years and the decades that it
It's just part of it.
right like when Charlotte sees the kids being beat up and everybody's just like
Right.
like
Yeah.
it's just kind of second nature, like they just kind of
Yeah.
have become immune to those things. I think I could totally see the town being like, well, thank God that, or like it just being kind of like wiped from
That
everybody's
was a
mind.
close one, guys.
Right, like, ooh, that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it is very violent town
But
constantly.
I think that and then just the tone at the beginning. Again, I think the last episode being more cinematic worked,
Sure.
but it was unexpected. So for the first 15, 20 minutes, again, maybe it's just me, the tone just felt like there was a big shift
Right.
from the previous seven episodes.
Which
Um,
probably was from my understanding. I don't know if this one was written. Did you know the guy who sang as Aladdin wrote
yes.
or directed some of these? Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was either you or maybe something on TikTok I saw. I didn't know it going into the show, but
I
I
didn't even.
did find that out a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So things that you did like about the final, at least the finale.
The finale, I loved, like you said, Skarsgård getting to be in the forefront in front of the camera because being a horror show, a lot of it is jump scares or you get like a few seconds and then it's back into the shadows. This was like he is here and he is acting his tail off and you are gonna see it. I thought putting the camera in front of him was just incredible. Um,
The
I
part
thought,
where wait a
yeah,
minute, the part where he comes out with the principal as like a ventriloquist and he rips
yes,
the guy's head off and then kicks it. I was
yes. Like everyone on Twitter is like, man, he really toned it down over the years because he came out swinging in this episode.
I was like, that's like it was so wonderfully over the top
Yes,
for that character. Like it wasn't like, oh, it's so over the top that it takes me out of it. It was just he does it. He plays the horror so just like where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe what is happening right now.
yes,
And just his physicality, like his physical humor, while still being so horrifying, was just like gallows humor. Like you're
yeah.
like when he like his whole body where he just kind of kicks it, and he's just like, boom. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like I love this family so much. Like you
The
guys
entire family, just phenomenal group of actors. Well, and
I,
then when the girls were all huddled up on the ice and he was like, ooh, 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 and he goes into the fog and then starts running back and forth. Like I was laughing, but I was terrified. It was like it was just a mix of both. But then like people again on Twitter were like, this man like was like in danger of being destroyed or put back in his cage, and he's over here still making jokes when like with his kryptonite 2 feet away from him.
right.
Like
Like still taunting the kids with
yeah,
like and then Snatcher's the one that doesn't like have her hand on it.
yeah.
Yeah, but go on,
That,
sorry.
I think that was probably my favorite part. I thought a lot of the acting performances were pretty good. Um, the color shading, which might be a small thing, but when they got to the icy part, that color shading, I really liked it. Like that was just really
Oh
good
yeah.
to me.
Because it's very like even though you have the military, Pennywise with his caravan of children, um, the adults, the children, unless they all came in contact, you felt the isolation that all
Yes.
of them were feeling at that time of just trying to, in this chaos of the fog, trying to gather forces together for one purpose. And everything was just so chaotic around it that, yeah, I just thought it was very well done. I think the guy who, I think his name is Chris Chalk, I can't think of his name, who plays Dick Halloran. He's so good. He's,
He was, yeah, Chris Chalk. Yeah, he
yeah,
played that
so good.
character so well. And I think that was my other final favorite part about it is that at its core, it's about a group of kids that have to defeat the evil. And you've got this, you've got the Goonies, you've got Stranger Things, you've got Star Wars Skeleton Crew, like all these different shows that focus on that. And this show ran the risk of leaning more on the adults because you had Halloran, because you had Leroy,
Right.
you had all of these adults. But in that final episode, it they were still a part of it. The military was still a part of it, but it shifted the focus back to the kids being the ones to do it. And because like going into it, I wondered like, oh, is this going to be like a group effort? And they
Or
all put their hands on the shard, but it ended up being like
the
they're
children.
here, but it's the children that are doing it, which
Right.
is the core of what it's about. So I thought they did a really good job with that.
Very, yeah, very good job. And to go back to when Pennywise is torturing Marge with her possible future and him being angry at her because her son is one of them that ends up killing him, but then he's like, is it my death or birth? And I
Yeah.
love that he's like, there's, and even the girls were talking about at the end of the movie that how time means nothing to this creature because it's a otherworldly being.
Yeah.
But I love that they were like, they don't know if they're like, what if he goes back in time to try to kill somebody? We know he's not because we have these movies that are going forward. But I think it sets the story up well with us knowing as the audience, they're not going forward, they're not going to go backwards.
Yeah.
And much like Pennywise's character, we are kind of hostage for this ride of us now going into the past. Like now time doesn't even mean anything to us now as
Right.
the audience because we're not, unless you jump into the movies and go watch the movies, we're not going to be forced to jump into the past, which I think is really well done as far as them setting that up, them that talk about, well, do we go into the future? Do we go in the past? Now we have the option because, well, you don't have to watch the next season. You don't have to go in the past. You can go to the future and watch
Yeah.
the future and being killed, or you can go to the past and see some more of his lore being set up, which I'm sure they're going to do. I'm sure they're going to. Again, people have talked about like, well, did they really touch on a lot for the indigenous crowd and the military and stuff like that? No, but they have the benefit of the past now to go back and fill out a little bit more of those things and just keep filling it out and not have to worry about doing all that. The only thing they really had to do was worry about if those questions were answered for the future. And they may or may not have done it, but at least they hit some of them. They
Yeah.
didn't completely ignore the future and they're not completely ignoring the past. They're kind of, like they said, with it's like I said, we're going to be swept up in both of those things. And now time means nothing to us either as the audience.
Yeah.
So
No,
overall,
I think that was bringing in time travel. I don't know if that was the plan from the books, but it's always risky to bring in time travel. But the way that they did it and explained it through Pennywise in that scene was excellent writing, excellent acting, and like you said, it sets up a choose your own adventure type of
sure.
scenario.
Well, if you don't want you can you can go forward for a little while, then you can go back again to get
Yeah,
ready for the next season. So
for
like you're
sure.
gonna be jumping all around the timeline right now with it. And speaking of, I don't want to go into we're gonna tone switch here to Marvel and Doomsday, the trailer. I'm not going to link where you can find this because I don't want to get into trouble. I'm not even really going to talk about what was shot for shot. We're not going to talk about what was seen in the trailer because again, we don't want
We don't want the black SUVs from Kevin Feige to show up at our
right,
houses.
but we will talk about it it is no secret. The reputable accounts have come out saying that there are going to be 4 trailers each week, and they're all going to focus on someone different. Week 1 was Steve Rogers. Week 2 is Thor. Week 3 is Doctor Doom, and week 4 is going to be, I guess, the official all-encompassing trailer. How do you feel about it going back to the OG3 and not, at least until we get this final 4th trailer, not really dealing with Shang-Chi, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, Sam Wilson's Captain America? Like, how do you feel about them going back to, you know,
Yeah. I I've seen some discussion on Twitter and I've retweeted a few things, but haven't really said my own thoughts on it. But I kind of agree with what people said on Twitter. I don't like it because they've built these characters, other characters up, but I get it. And at this point, I blame the audience because all of the movies that have come out since Endgame, not all of them have been great. They've had some duds. 100% will admit that. But I think Shang-Chi, I thought Sam Wilson as Captain America was fine. I thought Thunderbolts was really good. Like they've done some really good movies, but the audience and the discourse around it has been, we don't like it, we don't like it, we don't like it. So I think Marvel, in a way, thinks that their hands are tied. So they're going back to Old Faithful. They're bringing these guys out of retirement. They're digging them out of their graves and putting them in here. And I see all the comments, and everyone's like, you should have focused on Shang-Chi. You should have focused on the X-Men. You should have focused on the Fantastic Four. And my response to them is, let me go through your tweets and let me see how you have reacted to all of those things. Because if you have criticized, oh, Shang-Chi wasn't really that good. Oh, Sam Wilson, he's not my Captain America. Thunderbolts, oh, that's the great value Avengers. If that is all you have been tweeting, you don't get to complain now that they're going back to old faithful characters.
sure.
I don't love it. I wish they were moving forward with the new characters they've built up, but I, from a business standpoint, can see why they think they have to do this. Though those are my thoughts on it.
No, I completely agree with you. I think it's one of those where the reason they're focusing on the OG3 again is because phases 4 and 5 didn't work out.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to make you remember Endgame and get you to recapture that moment and be like, please give us another chance. We didn't mean it.
Right. Secret Invasion didn't count.
Right. Like it's, and in all fairness, when people were, um, we will just say this, the new trailer, obviously, like we talked about, features Steve Rogers, and everybody is very upset. They're like, well, you brought in Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson for your new Captain America, and you didn't, like, you're not even focusing on him. In all fairness, the only thing that we will say about that trailer is at the very end of it, it says Steve Rogers will return in Doomsday. They do
Yes.
not say Captain America. They say Steve Rogers. They do not label him as, and a lot of times they have said it in those ends of those games is like Thor will return in
Yeah.
this, Iron Man will return in this. They label him as Steve Rogers. They do not label him as Captain America, which I think should help for theories going forward as far as where we're going. You and I talked a little, or I think I just kind of talked at you, where I think at the end of Endgame, Iron Man does say, when you mess with time, time has a way of messing back with you,
Yes.
or punching back or hitting back. I think they're wanting you to remember that, because if in fact Steve, because it apparently the writers of Endgame and the directors of Endgame do not agree on what Steve Rogers staying back in time actually meant.
Yeah.
Did he create a branch timeline and create a whole new timeline? Did he stay in that timeline and
There's the
somehow,
whole, oh, he was carrying Peggy's casket. He was the old guy. There's a, yeah,
or
like, did he
it's
create
like,
a new timeline or
yeah,
is he
the
just
young
within
Steve
it?
Rogers was his do actually their children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the like I said, the writers and the directors have various beliefs on that, and I think they kind of are using this as a way to kind of maybe answer that question once and for all.
Yeah.
Especially if you have seen the leaked trailer, they are definitely going back to Steve Rogers with Peggy at the end of Endgame and kind of in either going to answer that or at least show you the ramifications of his decision to do that. So, which could mean a branch timeline. It also could mean that because he did it, he's now created some sort of incursion, and incursions in the comic book are when it's kind of like those one toys where you knock the ball and they all kind of like, and an incursion means that these two galaxies are coming into close proximity and one Earth will be destroyed.
Yes.
And will his decision to do that stay back or however it worked create this incursion that then now Doctor Doom feels like he needs to get it create, did it create a branch timeline where it created this different Doctor Doom? We don't know. But I hopefully everybody's excited to go see the movie. Everybody, at least, good or bad, I hope at least people go there. I am gonna try to go see Endgame in the theaters next.
Me too. I'm gonna try. I don't, that's tough with, people buying tickets and how many theaters it will be in, but I'm going to try to be in the theater to see it. I'm excited for Doomsday, but I'm not excited like I was for Endgame and Infinity War because I knew where those were going.
Sure.
Whereas this one, I don't know who the main characters are. Well, I guess I do now, but I don't know what the story is going to be. We both have expressed our thoughts on Robert Downey Jr. being Doctor Doom. I will be there opening weekend. I am excited to see characters that I grew up loving, but the level of excitement that I have for this is nowhere close to the
Oh,
excitement I had for Infinity War and Endgame.
yeah, I hope very much that they can figure out a way to figure this out go for going forward. I know that part of the reason the Russos wanted to come back and do this, they had noticed and made a comment to Kevin Feige that the one thing that bothered them was the lack of connectivity and for phases 4 and 5, and they thought that it needs to go back to that. So this is kind of the reason why, again, I don't think it was any secret that even though Chris Evans had never been officially declared for Doomsday, anytime there had been photographs and videos have been out previously at these other press conferences awards, and he was jacked again, and
Yeah,
everybody was like, like there's not too many movies that call for Chris Evans to be as muscular as what he was seeing
exactly.
out there. So I think that was kind of like we all knew it. The rumors are that the Thor trailer has already leaked with a few pictures, which is crazy because I know Disney and Marvel are wanting to do the same thing as Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is known for not putting his trailers online that you have to go to the theater and see. And however you feel about that, that's just the way he is. And again, the Odyssey trailer is already leaked. The prologue for that is already leaked. So they're never going to
We're in
account.
a day and age where it's nearly impossible.
Right. You have 16, 17-year-old theater workers who are like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to have this job in a couple of weeks. What do I
Right.
do? So you're never going to do that. I wish they would release if they want to keep, like I don't know how they think that you're just gonna keep going back to the theater each week to go see Avatar to get all these trailers. I feel like once that this week has come out and they've done the Steve Rogers trailer, that next week when the next one comes out, then they should go ahead and post the Steve Rogers trailer on YouTube. But at that point they might feel like it's too late, which it's kind of surprising to me because Marvel has always been one that they've always wanted to break records on YouTube for trailer
Yeah.
views.
I'm
And now
curious.
them
Yeah.
and now them going to this, well, you have to go to the theater and see. It's like, okay, but that's not what you guys.
And partnering up with James Cameron, who the reason why I have my one-sided beef with him is because he's been taking shots at Marvel for like years now. And now they're like, yeah, we're gonna put our trailers before his movies only. It's kind of like, oh, okay. If that's what you want to do, working with the ops, that's fine. But
And also, like, which is strange that, speaking of that kind of dovetailing off that, they're clearly wanting to put in-game in theaters next year to hopefully they had the record for box office sales. They know that they're going to be competing with Avatar. They're kind of wanting to have that trophy back on their mantle. And so to then ask people to keep buying tickets to Avatar to see your
it's
trailer,
really weird.
it's
It is
strange.
a weird because yeah, even if neither of them will admit it, re-releasing Titanic, Avatar, and Endgame into theaters every few years, like it's obvious you
But you're
guys
trying to,
want the record because they've released Endgame back once already, where they added like 3 minutes of unfinished footage from a scene with the Hulk,
right.
and that put them back over Avatar. And then James Cameron re-released it, and then like so it's weird. It's like they're like going, they shake hands, and it's like who lets go first with the two of
Right.
them. Like,
Yes, they're staring at each other. Just,
right.
yeah. So it's strange. I'm going to try to get to the theater anyways after Avatar's release, just because I want to see the Odyssey, even though I have seen the Odyssey prologue on my phone.
Yeah, it's not the
I
same.
would like to see it on the big screen, and
I'm
then
halfway through Avatar Way of Water. I'm going to finish it today, and then I will be able to get my tickets for Fire and Ash and see everything in its glory. And
yeah.
halfway through Avatar Way of Water, I hate Spider. I hate him. His
Um.
character just annoys me.
Okay.
I'm halfway through it, so I don't know what that means.
Um.
But right now, every time I see his face on my screen, I get annoyed.
That relationship between you and him is not going to That's, and that is all I have to say on
Ugh.
the subject. Actually, today technically is the review embargo, or it's the release of the review embargo for Avatar. So yeah, I will just say, um,
I boycotted Avatar Way of Water for this long because I was angry at James Cameron. Again, my one-sided beef. I do not like how he has made some great movies just like Marvel has, but he has been on this hate train for the last few years, just taking shots at Marvel any chance he gets. And I look at his movies, I'm like, you make some really good movies, but like I put your movies and Marvel movies pretty much in the same category.
yeah,
Like, and so I just it's like I don't know why you're taking shots at Marvel. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna see Avatar. And then after 2 years or however long it's been, I was like, well, you should go see Avatar. So
if anything, just for the trailers that show up, I will just say that
exactly.
he does not do himself any favors, um, nitpicking at Marvel with this last movie.
Right.
Um,
Like if Christopher Nolan was taking shots at Marvel, but you know what? Hey,
he doesn't,
man's got a
which
point.
which he doesn't.
Exactly. But he's like the one director. There's others, but like if he did, I'd be like, hey, whatever he says, listen to him. But he doesn't. James Cameron, you are making Marvel movies. Like that is what you're doing. I love Terminator. I love well, Titanic isn't really a Marvel movie, but you make Marvel movies.
Yeah,
So what are you doing?
right, right. Like, yeah, that's yeah, just yeah. And like I said, this last one, he needs to kind of maybe probably quiet down. And he probably will be a little humbled when the reviews start to roll in for this one. But
I think IGN posted this morning, gave it a 9, but I don't know about that.
I nope, I don't see it. But not at all. It was a yeah, no, I would love to read these reviews and find out what they found good about
I
it.
think it was IGN. I was like scrolling and I saw they gave it a 9 and was like, huh. And then just kind of kept scrolling because I haven't seen it yet. So like once I see it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll circle back and read the reviews. But I saw a 9 and was like, is it a 9 or what's
It's
going on here?
let me just go ahead and throw my 2 cents into the movie reviewer ring. It is not. But Yeah, no, I've seen it on like I've been checking like this Friday, one battle
After
after another
another.
comes out on HBO,
I will be
which I
watching
will
that on
finally
Friday.
see this. And I need to see that. There's a couple other ones that before I really round out like what I thought was the best movie of, or like my best top 10. It's,
I don't even know if I can do a top 10 this year when it comes to movies, like which goes back to the discussion we had earlier in the year where your best movies versus my best movies
sure,
are
which is
vastly
fine.
different.
I mean, like they should, I mean, like being the average movie. I mean, you probably even see more movies than probably the average moviegoer. So I mean, it's yeah. I mean, obviously, there's going to be things that I think are that you probably didn't see that I'm like, oh, it was really good. But yeah, but before I kind of round out I know there's a few that I need to see, but I can't see that one crack in the top 10.
I'm trying to squeeze Marty Supreme in before the end of the year. I love Timothy Chalamet, like legitimately. I think he might be the coolest guy on the planet because he's like a hardcore sports fan and he's also like a really good actor and not popular actor like Glenn Powell. I mean like Timothy Chalamet is a really good actor.
It's a really good actor,
And then
and
you see
that
him talk about sports and it's like he's talking like deep cuts, like stuff
yeah.
from years ago.
Well, they say it's I didn't know he grew up in Hell's Kitchen,
Yeah,
which
I found that out in an interview last week. I was listening to him talk about
yeah.
it.
And I love that people were like, the reason that some people are turned off by him is that he has a sports mentality in an
Yes.
active realm. Like he is like, I intend on being the best. I want to be the best. You should appreciate what I'm giving you out there. This stuff is quality. And the thing is, you can't, because everybody was like, this interview where he's like, hey, listen, my last 6, 7 roles, I have given you quality and I don't want these to be taken for granted. And people were like, oh, I can't believe you said that. And it was like, okay, but
But is
you
he
know,
wrong?
what is he wrong? Like he's giving you some great performances.
Yeah.
So you may not like that he's telling you, I know I'm worth it, but he isn't wrong in
Yeah.
this. Marty Supreme is definitely will make my top 10. It is a as of right now, they asked me on the radio what are at least my top three, and I would say Frankenstein, Sinners, and Marty Supreme probably are my top three at the moment.
I
Not
have
in
made
any
a
kind of
plan.
ranked order than just
Yeah.
those three I can think of that I really liked. Yeah.
My plan for 2026 is I'm picking a day of the week. I won't be seeing like a new movie every week, but there is a specific day of the week that I'm leaving that evening open. So if there is a movie that comes out that I'm hearing is like really good, like cool. On Tuesdays in 2026, that is my movie night. I will make sure I see because there's a lot of movies where you've talked like Warfare came out and I didn't get around to seeing it because I wanted to see it, but I didn't make it a priority. And then I looked up and it was out of theaters. Like going into 2026, I'm leaving a day of the week open
Good.
so I can see more movies that I want to
Also
see.
check out the mystery movies on Monday.
I need to do that. You've been telling me about that, and I
They
need
had
to just
they
watch
had one last night, but I didn't go to it because Steelers games. um, so yeah, that's I know this is already kind of running long,
yeah.
but what did you think about the game last night?
That was
DK Metcalf is a bad man.
I just the thing is I expect that from him every week just because when you look at him, you're like, yes, people should be bouncing off you all the time. And he's had a good season, but when you just look at his body measurements and how big he is, it's like you should just be knocking people over every day.
When he grabbed that guy by the shoulder and threw him to the side, I thought,
I was on the couch, leaned back. I like sat up when he did that.
yes. And I will, as much as I do, I again, you and I are kind of very much in the same vein as this. So I do not carry water just because this person is on the team that I like or whatever. It's very freeing when you don't carry water because then
Yeah.
you don't have to make excuses for him. Kind of like what people are doing right now.
Yes.
Um, I still don't like Aaron Rodgers. I just don't like him off the field. I think he's probably married to an AI chatbot because
I
when
don't think it's a real person. Yeah.
I don't either. but that's for another discussion. I will say this,
Our investigative series starts in 2026.
that pass that he threw to him and how fast
That was a
it
dime.
got to in that window where the one guy ran by and had his hand out.
Yes.
That was unbelievable.
That was
That
incredible.
goes to show you
Not
what
many
great
people
strength.
could make that accurate throw that quickly on a rope. I feel the same way about him, but yes, there are plays when have watched Steelers games this year, and honestly, even some Jets games last year, where I'm still annoyed by you, but he will make a play every now and then, and you're like, oof, that's Aaron Rodgers.
Like, oh, that's and they asked him, like you tend to come alive in December, and he's like, well, to be fair, the last 2 to 4 years, there's nothing been, I haven't been given the opportunity to really do anything decent. I mean, and he played in Green Bay. The weather that happened in Pittsburgh is nothing that he's not accustomed to.
Right.
So it's like people being amazed. He's anytime you meet people from Wisconsin, they're not normal,
Right. Right.
especially in the winter. They're just not normal. They're not normal folks. So we will be taking a break next week because of holidays.
Yes.
Probably maybe then if we can get one out before New Year's, we're going to start with some really fast hits on our favorite movies, maybe our favorite sports stories. Um, yeah, favorite sports stories, favorite movies, maybe favorite series. Maybe not even draw it out too long if we have a top 10, great. If a top five is,
Yeah.
but just some real fast hits to just kind of remind you people that we're still out there. But yeah, we're gonna at least take off next week. Let Christmas happen,
Yes.
little holiday break, and then the next week we're gonna put out a few fast ones that we can talk about, just kind of our year ending, and then even into January we still hit on a few of our favorite things
Oh
before
yeah.
we really get started, because I believe Wonder Man starts in January, even though they haven't done any kind of promotional
Oh
for it.
yeah. They're giving it the Ironheart treatment.
Yeah. So
I think
we'll
we
get
have
it
the
all
Night of the
next
Seven
week.
Kingdoms in January too. I could be
Hmm?
wrong.
Which one?
Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I think that's a January show.
Oh, is it? Okay, well then we'll have plenty. We'll make sure that we get our kind of year in our 2025, 2026 year enders, year look forward
January
to.
18th, Sunday, episode
All
one.
right, so we'll have a good about 3 week period in there
Yeah.
where we're going to talk about the things that we liked and the things that we're looking forward to for the new year. So everybody have a happy holiday, and we will see you all in the, well, maybe at the end of the new year
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Let's see. Yeah.